everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Let Us Sip.
It's your girl, Brittany.
It's your girl, Kaloni.
Sophy is here.
She's still here, y'all. She's still here.
You see, I came to the conclusion. It was that van that says tequila and tacos that y'all got me here. That's what y'all had put me in.
But
I understand. I get it now.
Yes. Hola.
Got it.
And guess what, guys? We don't have no dicks this week.
But you have me instead.
Yes.
My name is Carolyn.
Yes. We have some more female energy and we about to get into the shits. Okay?
All of the shit.
All of the shit. So, Carolyn, when we have guests on the show, we typically like to play a game.
Okay.
So, this game is called What's on Your Mind.
Okay.
I'm going to say a word, and you're going to tell me what comes to mind, okay?
All right, let's go. Let's see what happens.
Let's do
Ain't
it.
promising shit. Right. See what happens.
So, community.
Black people.
Lust.
Ooh, getting watched.
Beautiful.
Black women.
Yes.
We are.
I agree.
Sorry. Because I agree.
Freedom.
Ooh. Freedom. Black people again. Fuck that shit.
Yes. Love.
Myself.
Yes.
Queen. Above all else, myself.
Here's a good one for you. Glitter.
Ooh. Herpes.
Oh.
You see,
Voyeur.
you see when it is that you
I'm
say
sorry.
glitter, I think it's something totally different. That I wasn't gonna be toxic this year. What I said that I was gonna do, I was just gonna throw glitter on niggas shit because you can't remove glitter.
That's why I said herpes. Like, what? I thought I cleaned this really well, and like, God damn it, here it goes again. I'm back. Stay away.
I got you. I'm with you.
So the next word is voyeur.
Voyeur. Back shots.
Yeah, because y'all, that's one of my biggest fears. Is like I never want my father, especially, to see me getting back shots.
Let's be candid. He probably gave your mother back shots. So
He
let's
probably
not play
did.
these games.
She do got a fat ass.
And there you go. It's the jiggle. They like to see it. Come on now. They like it.
Like, I took it like a G, Pops. I took it like a G.
Exactly. The worst thing you want to see is her weak and like, oh yeah, I can't take it. No, at least I taught my daughter well.
That ain't gonna be my baby.
That bag's strong. Last word is lips.
Moisturized.
It's a must.
Some people forget that.
Sometimes, yeah.
They don't be knowing.
And they put their best self out first. And it be
Chappity chop.
The dry lips.
Yes, we don't want that. Nobody likes dry lips. Here or there. All that got to be moist, nice and juicy.
Yes. Up and down.
Lubrication, all that
Up and
moistness.
down.
Up and
Both
down.
sets.
Yes.
So, well, Carolyn's comfortable.
Yeah.
We comfortable.
I feel all right. Jump right in
She
it.
might have made me uncomfortable. And Let Us Sip podcast.
Ever.
Her responses. All right, let's get to it.
Loving it.
So, before we jump into the beauty tip, I want you to tell everybody about yourself. Carolyn is an authorist,
Yes.
so please share.
So, where's it at?
You got it.
Bam! So I wrote a book about my lovely adventures in dating in New York City. Because if you date in New York City, it's shit. But so this is my book. It's full of fun stories. It's full of sexy stories. It is full of my sexcapades and me being a voyeur, me masturbating, my experience with herpes, all that good and fantabulous stuff. So it is available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and Apple Books.
Get it.
Yes, you're welcome. And so, yes, that's what I do.
I love it.
Yes, like
Sidebar, you got some good teeth.
Oh, thank you.
beautiful.
Yes. And
you.
beautiful skin.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm taking her glasses, y'all.
You won't be able to see because I won't be able to see without them. So you can go ahead and walk right into a wall. I promise
My
you.
pair is in my purse.
Yeah, Kaloni, sometimes she chooses to be cute instead of blind. Instead of being able to see.
I need to see because I'd be like, where's the thing? Where's the drinks? Like, I need them all the time. Let me try. It's a problem.
So speaking of skin, Kay, let's go ahead and get into the beauty tip. Boo. What you got?
Yes, guys. So the weather is changing. New York City, you know, our weather is toxic, but we trying to get warm. Okay, we really trying to get warm. And honestly, this is for everybody. Sunscreen is so important because a lot of us, you know, we feel like we don't need it.
We be full of shit.
And that's a lie. Especially if you're using dermatology products on your face and, you know, you have acne or whatever going on and you want to maintain that. The best way to maintain that good skin everywhere, Brittany, get your mind out the gutter. Okay.
Why you catch me like that? It's not fair. Not fair.
She's like, I don't need to go to the dermatologist. If y'all know, in our past episode.
I get the nice protein.
Right.
Yeah, she get good protein.
Source.
But I was told that the best way to obtain all of that good skin and the beauty products that we've been talking about is sunscreen. Yes. Now, Fenty now has a sunscreen, and we talked about this before. But now that it's the summertime, we want to brush back on using just sunscreen. It don't matter if you go anywhere, but Fenty even has some if you want to put stuff on your face, and if you're about to apply some makeup, make sure you're protecting that skin, guys. And that's as simple as it's going to get this week.
Yes.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
So, Carolyn, on the show, since it is Let Us Sip, we like to play our drinking game. Okay. So, we're going to, if this is your first time listening, y'all, too, out there and watching, every week we pick a word, and this is our sip of the week. So, throughout the conversation, we're going to say the word, and when you hear it, you have to drink. Okay. So this week's sip of the week is going to be the word glitter.
Glitter. So I drink now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
There you go.
How many more tequila in this?
So we're gonna say it quite a few times.
Do your thing. Do your thing.
And you just go ahead and do what you do, boo boo.
All right.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the topic. I actually found Carolyn from listening to another podcast. And I thought her story was so freaking dope, you know, because, you know, can I? Well, you
of course, yeah.
So, Carolyn has herpes, right? So, when I heard her on the podcast being so, you know, boisterous and like owning her shit, I'm like, yo, I have to talk to her, you know, because especially with herpes, a lot of people try to hide in the shadows and try to act like the shit ain't happened because, you know, they seen it one time and they don't see it again. And then a lot of people aren't up front. And what caught my attention with her is she was out loud and proud about her shit. And I think, and I promote that all the time when we talk, like, y'all gotta tell people, give people options.
Yes. Right.
And the way she moves about life is what gave me life.
You came from my womb. I love it. I gave you life. I like that.
So, go ahead and, you know, share with the people what happened, how you found out.
So, I was a free spirit. I used to fuck. I still fuck. I love fucking. I love sex. So for many years, I was in and out of monogamous, sometimes non-monogamous relationships. And I had a little heartbreak situation and I took a break from dating for a while. So I'm going to give the numbers because the numbers all matter. I was dating this guy for about a year. We stopped seeing each other. Then I took a break, stopped seeing, as I was celibate for 3 months. And then I met a guy, entered a relationship with him, asked him all the questions because we love to ask, when was the last time you were tested? And, you know, he said I was clean. All right, no problem. I'm believing you. I'm not going to go further because, you know, I'm not empowered. So you said you're clean. I'm going to trust that you said you're clean. So we dated for a total of 6 months. Now, that means 9 months with me being only with him. So we dated for 6 months. Eventually, we broke. We stopped communicating. And then a couple of weeks after, I had my first blister cluster where I'm like, this doesn't look right. So at that time, I was a shaver, so I didn't think anything of it. So I was like, maybe it's just an ingrown hair. Let me go clean it up and whatever. It didn't stop. It kept being a pester to me. So I was like, my mother's a nurse. I said, Mom, what's this look like to you? She was like, it looks like herpes. And I'm like, oh, the fuck, it does not. I was pissed. I cried. I went through all the emotions.
How old were you?
I was I don't even remember anymore. I was in my early 20s. I was like maybe say 22, 23.
Okay.
It's very early on in my... sexual liberation area. I was kind of, that's what really hurt more. So I was like, I'm at the brink of it. I'm about to really get in this shit and I can't now. So I went to the doctor, got tested. They actually test the actual area and it came back positive for genital herpes type 2. Now, anybody was like, what the fuck? With time, I actually went to the doctor again and told my GYN, I was like, I just got tested positive for herpes. She was like, well, we can do a test to determine like the window of exposure. Because if you ever get an HIV test, they tell you come back in 3 months or 6 months to see because you have to retest again. Because any virus that lives in your body takes time to build antibodies. Any test that you get is testing the antibodies, never the virus, unless it's like a swab. Gotcha. So 3 months passed, that test came back negative. 6 months passed, that test came back negative. 9 months had to pass for my blood work to show what was happening in my body. And so I was like, that's when I kind of changed how I felt. Because initially I was just angry. Like, he should have told me that, But with me going through that process of 9 months of testing negative showed me that maybe he went through the same test that I did. And then also, maybe as I learned a lot later when I joined a lot of support groups, a lot of communication groups, herpes is not always included on your test results. So you could have met a guy who says, yeah, I got tested, I'm clean for everything. But if his test didn't include herpes, he wouldn't know he has herpes. And I also brought into the conversation the cold sores that people often forget is also herpes. If your partner doesn't test for herpes at all, but they have a history of cold sores, that is herpes. And if that partner happens to eat your pussy or suck your penis, and they happen to have a cold sore that's dormant or not as reactive, they can then also pass you herpes and you have genitals. So throughout that process and just, learning how to be comfortable once again with my body, learning how to relove myself, I put a lot of stress on myself just to be accepted. It's like, I want to be loved. I want to be this. So like, if a guy was like, I told him I had herpes, and like, I'll fuck with you still. I'm like, okay. He was like the best thing since life, but he was on a pedestal. And I was like, he accepted me. It's the best thing ever. And then like a couple months later, I'm like, I hate this guy. I don't want to be in this relationship, but I'm afraid to walk away because now I have to go out and try to find somebody new. Which is not just a herpes thing. You think about how many girls will stay for for companionship, or the guy provides the finances for them, so they don't want to walk away, or the comfort. They don't want to find out what's new. I've spent 20 years with you. I don't want to walk away and try to find somebody new. All of that shit. So eventually I was just like, you know what? I gotta put myself first. There were parts of me that I always thought I was hiding from my partners. Like, I've always been a bisexual, curious woman. I knew as early as 8 years old that I liked boys and the girls the same way. I didn't have the language to say that I was bisexual, but I knew I liked them both. Right. And my first kiss was with a girl. But again, a kiss at 10 years old, you're not really thinking that I'm bisexual. You're thinking I'm just kissing my friend, right? You don't really go down that rabbit hole.
But if you live in New York City and you had Channel 63, you kind of had an idea.
Yes, we kind of had those ideas, yes. But the ability to... Yes, glitter, yes.
On that part.
But the ability to be empowered to vocalize that is what I lacked, And so there was a part in my life where I was like 14. I was like, I think I like girls. Like, I want to try to explore this. And love my sister-in-law to death. But she saw me wanting to pursue that, and the girl who was, let's say, 16 or 17, as her trying to turn me out. And I'm like, but
that was a big thing.
I really feel this way. I really want to explore this, and it kind of halted that exploration. So I pretty much lived a very much heterosexual life for a very long time. And then when herpes happened, I'm like, I guess I can't fuck with no woman now. It's not gonna happen. And then around 30, I was like, you know what? After my last relationship of a fuckboy, he has a whole chapter. That's how fucked up he was. He has a whole chapter, all 5 parts are dedicated to that nigga.
Shit, I would need a whole fucking book.
You just write it out, girl. Just put it out there in the universe. You're not the only one. So after him, I realized that I have to start doing what feels right to me. I can't keep lying to myself. I can't keep just moving through life not happy with who I'm with. And I said, fuck it. When you're on a plane and a plane goes down, they always say you put your mask on first for you and then the next person. Right. So I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and coddle, nigga. I'm not going to give pity pussy because you're nice to me. I'm not going to deny what I like because you're you. Like, no. So from at 31, I came out to my family as bisexual, non-monogamous, polyamorous, and whoever didn't know knew at that point that I was herpes positive because it became a whole movement for me. So now it's like, having honest sexual conversations with my partners, speaking about what I want. And you can, if you don't want it, that is your, I'm very upfront with what I have and who I am. Like, and you have the ability to completely walk away or sit there and say, you know what, I could fuck with it. That is your choice. I'm not taking that choice away from you. Do what the fuck you want with it.
See why I like her?
One of the things is that I think about women for the most part, and I mean, it exceeds for going, you could be 9 million years, but I think that whole, once it is you hit that 30, you're not with the shits.
Not with any of it. You get tired of
like,
it.
Nick,
I'm feeling that
either
way.
this or that. But this is what I want to do. If that it is that you want to do, go on and do it. Just not with me.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. That when they be having those little stipulations, that's why it is that I see older women in my family and whatever. Like my sister's a full. Like a raw vegan. She will deal with a dude that eats meat and have him conform to her lifestyle. As she should. She like fucking almost 60 years old, 50 something. She don't play that shit. You come in the door, this is what it is that I'm doing, and that's just it. So unless it is like, 30, once you hit that, then
you get tired of the bullshit. Like again, as women, we're told to, we'll be this way, conform to this. Women, girls are sugar and spice, everything. That's like, nah, fuck that shit. I'm hella spicy. I'm hella spicy. I'm hella honest. I'm hella upfront. Because at the end of the day, no one is gonna sit there. If at the end of the day shit happens that goes south, you have to deal with that responsibility. You have to deal with whatever happens after it. No one is gonna. People want to sit there and quote unquote be supportive, but you're not about to walk this walk with me. Exactly. So don't force your perspective upon me.
What I love about the whole aspect of this conversation is education. Yeah. You have to be educated, especially with just anything dealing with your body. Yep. Because when she talked about the dormant, or when you have a physical, that's something that you have to ask to be added to the list. Because the original list, like she said, herpes is not there. And a lot of times when we get tested, we don't even know what the hell they test for. They like, well, we drew the blood. They would have told me if I had it.
No, everything doesn't mean everything.
A lot of times we don't know not to ask. We don't even know that it's not even there.
Yeah. They do full surgeries and then tell you after they done closed you up that you got cancer. Yeah. So after you ran all these tests, nobody seen anything, huh? Yeah. So that's that bullshit.
Yeah. Right. You have to be empowered. We have to start empowering this conversation, and even not including herpes, right? Because herpes is cross-gender and it can be tested for, but it takes a while to show up. But think about HPV, for example, that for women can cause cervical cancer, males can cause cancer. They can't screen for it in men. Period. There is
and they carry it.
Exactly, and they carry it. And so there are women who, again, even if you ask for the test, if you're fucking a male, there's no way they can even test him for it. So you may still end up with HPV, and depending on the strain, that can lead to cervical cancer. Exactly. So it's really about being honest. And for me, it's like a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, with all the precautions I could put up in there, with everything I think that I can do, there's always a chance that something is not being shown. Right. And any STI result that you get back, it only indicates what has been detected. It doesn't tell you what's brewing up in your system. Before the soup is done, it has to boil. It has to sever. It has to thicken. It's not showing you what's with the beginning stages of the chop the vegetables. It's not showing you that. It's showing you, oh, now here's a soup. Boom. Right. But that window period where it was being made, they don't know. You don't know that. And so a lot of people, and even with the condom, because I used a condom with the sex that I was having with the partner who said he was clean, and I still contracted because a condom protects the shaft of the penis and it protects the internal some of the vagina. Right. That pubic area that's bumping up and grinding in the next person, that's not covering that. It's not covering your ass. It's not covering the balls. So all of those areas are still very much exposed. And herpes is a skin-to-skin virus. There's no fluid that needs to be transmitted. It's skin.
Exactly. Yeah. Girl.
Education, okay?
Exactly.
Everybody needs it.
Glitter.
We had to educate the folks, okay?
Yes.
So, speaking of glitter, okay, so your book is Behind the Glitter Curtain.
From behind the glitter curtain.
From behind, I'm sorry. Okay. From behind the glitter curtain.
Yes.
So, what does the glitter symbolize?
Glitter symbolizes exactly that. So if you ever think about it, you put something with glitter up and everything. You have a shirt that has a little glitter on it. You go home at night, you take a shower and you clean up and everything, and it's like, what the fuck? Glitter's still here. And then you don't wear nothing for glitter for like a whole week and a half, and here comes a fucking piece of glitter once again. So it's like a word in the community that people use for glitter. We also, if you're a Harry Potter freak, we'll use muggles versus non-muggles, that kind of thing. Also, we have magic, they don't have magic. It is what it is. Right. Try to find a way to make the difficulties a little bit less difficult to deal with. But yes, glitter is that it doesn't go away. It is always there. It always may come back some way, shape, or form, but it never goes away.
And I know that you sex club.
I love sex parties.
I wanted to go,
Uh-huh.
and like I'm married,
Mhm.
but I still want to go. And I've been telling them to. Sophie looking at me like, "Listen, bitch,
Take me.
Like, it was gonna be like a field trip because I got people that's in that whole community
Lifestyle, yeah.
also. So I was like, it could be like a field trip, and that's what it is. That
Yeah.
ultimately
COVID
is about misconception of
supposed to go.
stuff.
Yes.
Because especially for the Black community or urban community in general, once it is that you say sex club, they're thinking gay.
Yeah.
They're thinking everybody fucking. It's like, yo, they have, because I've dealt with dudes that deal with that lifestyle. So in certain ones it is you could just watch.
Yes.
You and your
Right.
partner can go into the own room, close the door,
Yep.
and y'all fuck. There are people that get off on that, which
Yes.
is me included.
yeah,
But-
I like watching a good show. I love a good dig down. I'm like, give it.
But
let me see
people,
all of
it's
it.
like, just
Yes.
because you're
Yeah.
there doesn't mean that you're not
Yes.
heterosexual. Just because
Exactly.
you're there doesn't mean that somebody got to be fucking your bitch, because that
Right.
just be people mindset when it deals with those clubs.
Yes. So what got me into going into a sex club was the fact that, so my first experience with a guy and with a woman was in my like actual sexual, was in my after I came out, after I found a website called Positive Singles, which is like a dating app for people who have a variety of STIs, whatever. So I met a couple. It was a white couple. I dated interracially. They were a white couple. He had a huge penis, like nice. So he was well endowed. She was gorgeous. So we had great sex. And then they broke up and I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Because I really want to continue scratching this itch that I like, you know? So I was like,
Right.
okay, so how am I going to eat pussy? Because I went on dating apps and the girls that I like didn't like me and vice versa. I was like, I want to eat pussy. So how do I go about this? So what occurred to me was going to a sex party. So because my virus exists only in the southern region of my body, it only exists in my pussy, I could eat pussy and suck dick all I want and not have to worry about anything or transmitting anything to my partner. So I went to a sex party. I got there early, socialized with a couple of people. A first guy was like, not really into it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. The second guy was like, oh yeah, thank you for telling me. So can you go upstairs with me now? And I'm like, okay, let's go. So we're in the room and there's this like couple going at it, and this girl comes, I don't know how she topples over to the side of the bed that I'm at, and she like grabs my breast, and I'm like, okay, I guess that means I have consent now. So the guy moves out of the way, and I go down to eat her pussy, and she's like, oh my God, you're a goddess, it's like all of these things, and I'm like living up because like this is what I want. I'm like, okay, check, I am a bisexual, like that is not a question anymore. It has been confirmed.
Right.
So that's the only reason why I went up in there. But then as I'm engaging, like there are hands on my ass and I'm getting aroused by this. And they're like the feeling of being watched. And
it's like an orgy.
no, so there are parties that have that. It doesn't have to be that if you don't want to have it be that. So it's very much a place where you can control how much you want to do.
Got it.
So because I went not expecting to play. I went with my vibrators ready because I could look and be just playing with myself on the side. I was okay with being that as well. So I went with my vibrators and just ready to watch. But I happened to have gotten drawn in and I was able to play and able to have a good time. Now I still bring my vibrators because I like my womanizer. I like being watched while I'm having
I know what that is too.
It's a Vesper Crave. It's a vibrating necklace. Yes.
Yes.
So
you put that on the clit.
yes, a little vibrations and it gets me off. Yeah, I do this a couple of
Brittany,
times.
you would know.
Yes, Brittany put me on. She put me on.
It's amazing. I fucking love it. So I have my wand, or I'll have my womanizer, or I'll have this toy. So I have a bunch of variety toys that come with me to my sex parties when I go. But for the last couple of parties, I've been going with my partner, my primary partner right now. We've been together for 2 years, which is my longest relationship.
Is it male or female?
He's a male, yeah.
Okay.
Considering the fact that I met him at a sex party and I was dating monogamously for
Is he
years.
black or white?
He is black.
It's fine.
He is a black man. Yeah, we just clicked on so many different levels. Like, he is far more geekier than I am, but we're still like geeks. We still like, for Christmas, like cartoons and shit like that. Like, we vibed on that. We also vibed on the fact that we both are people who love consenting peer love. It doesn't matter that you're gay. It doesn't matter that you're straight. It doesn't matter that you're bi. I don't care. As long as what you're doing is not hurting anybody, live your fucking life.
Right.
So it was important to me to have a partner that was on that same wavelength. I don't want somebody who is homophobic and like, you can't like, okay, you ain't getting no pussy of this.
So now let me ask you a question. When it is that you came out to your family, what was your family reaction to that?
All right. So
Glitter before you do it.
Yeah.
Glitter.
So when I ended up coming out to my family, my mother had, it was a very random way that it all happened. My mother had a cancer scare a couple of years ago. And so it was a family meeting, you know, they got it removed. She's fine now. But in my weird way of lightening the mood, I then said, so, because I was also
interjected that.
Yes, so because everybody was like, everybody was kind of like depressed and in this sad space.
By the way,
Yeah, exactly. So everybody was in this depressed and this sad space, and I was like, so by the way, I have herpes. I'm gonna be I'm gonna come out. I want you to find that out from me first. I'm not monogamous, polyamorous, bisexual.
Did they know even what that meant?
Right. I had to break it down to them.
Okay.
I had to break it down to them. Yes, I did. I had to do that. Because they thought that it was me trying to just fuck the world, which at one point I was.
There's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing wrong with that. Like, you like what you like, and if it doesn't work, you get the next one.
Exactly.
Right? Clearly.
And I think that's really what's wrong with the dating scene is like, if it doesn't work for you,
Then
move
don't-
on.
yeah, just move on to
like,
the
stop
next, yeah.
holding on to this toxic thing because it's like, in your mind, you should have this and many people, and you're like,
No.
move the fuck on.
No,
Your life.
not at all. Do you live your life? So I had to break down what poly meant, right? Because at the end of the day, people get hung up
it
on
was
the
like,
many
what the
and not the amorous. Like, want actually, granted, I am also a swinger, so I also enjoy sex at parties. I also enjoy
you like
being
the
watched.
unicorn?
Yeah, so I could be a unicorn with a couple that wants me to be a unicorn with them. But again, my glitter,
Yes. True.
it can be a deterrent for some people, which is fine. Like, I'm not gonna have bad feelings if you don't want to be intimate with me. That's fine. People may not be because I don't know, I have big nipples. I don't fucking know. Like, for whatever reason is yours, that is yours, and it's fine to me. So I had to break it down. Like, I've always known that I had the capacity to love multiple people. I don't believe that love is like a pie and everybody has to get a smaller slice the more people there are. Like, love for me is ever replenishing. I can love you in a different way than I love the next person. I can love what you bring to my life and bring that back and forth. So I had to so I had to explain to my family, like, it's not about me just going around and fucking 1,000 people. I do still desire romantic, intimate connections. I just don't believe that it has to be only one for the rest of my life. Like, at 8 years old, I thought that shit sounded weird to me then. So I already had this polyamorous mindset at 8.
I don't think I got it at 8, but
I got it at 8. I'm like, doesn't that
maybe
get bored?
8.5.
Probably
My thing is, because I am married, but I
And
don't.
I love that. I love that. You found somebody that loves you and you love them. I love that.
Yeah.
But that's not for me.
I'm not.
I love
kidding.
it.
I didn't know where the hell I was going in my life. Trust me.
You want to marry me?
She had a duplex. Where was the part? Tell them about where your
I was
apartment
living
at.
on somewhere on 38th Street on the 34th floor. I had all white furniture.
No
I was
kids,
by myself.
no dog.
And when the nigga
No
came,
husband,
he
no
came
dog.
to do what he had to do, and he had to be out by the time the sun rise.
That was what she
Yes.
thought her life
And
was.
then
that was
Yes.
going to be it. But like now, you know, I'm married in a committed relationship. My thing is, I just don't want relationships. Like, if we were to bring another person into the fold, I'm here for the physical. Because even if I wasn't in a relationship at all, I don't want to date a bitch.
Kayla?
And that's a lot of people more just bisexual versus like biromantic.
Right.
Like, I want to tap into Brittany's marriage at like 50 years
You're
old.
gonna be like, listen, I'm at a sex party. I can't talk right now.
And then if it is that you know her husband, he is like calm and subtle. He gonna hit me and say, geez, Brittany's because she's
got me out here.
a turn
You need
up
the balance, though. You need the balance. Imagine being with a partner who's exactly as crazy as you or as subtle as, like, if you're subtle. Like, sometimes you want a balance.
Oh, we will fuck up the world. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. Pull the
Yes,
reins.
she ain't playing.
Nice. I love it. You know, I love it.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean,
So I got a question really quick.
Yeah.
So, like, when you told your boyfriend, well, your partner for 2 years now, your situation, what was, like, that conversation like?
So here's a funny thing. We met actually at a lifestyle party. So I was already engaged with people at the party. I was in a lovely, I'm happy I did it, MFM threesome where I was getting business from the back and getting business from the front. Boom, I was in my life. And he saw me in action.
This is
and when
Brittany life if she ain't getting married. I just want to let you know. She's like, yeah. I'm sorry.
it's all in the book.
I've never seen that. I saw it get read before. Look at
Brittany like, ooh, I listen.
Here's the the thing. People make you believe that you're not supposed to do these things and it's improper, it's whatever. But when I was in the moment, I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Like, what have I been missing my whole entire
You have no
life?
inhibitions when you fucking.
No, you just want to enjoy it, and I enjoyed every second of it. So when I resurfaced for some air and some fluids, I was thirsty and parched and all sore, whatever. He was like, I have a question. Can you sit on glitter? He's like,
Yes.
He's like, I just have a question. Can you sit on my face? And I was like, let me get back to you on that, because I was just finished being pulverized from both ends,
right?
And I didn't get a chance to talk to him that night. So we ended up actually giving me his. He ended up giving me his number, and then we spoke, and then we didn't speak for a couple of weeks, and then he messaged me a couple weeks before the party, and he's like, I still want you to sit on my face, and I'm like, well, have you read my? Because by that time we had exchanged Instagram, and I was like, well, did you read my bio? Because it's on my Instagram, all my social media states that I'm herpes positive, I'm an activist, da 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 da. So I was like, did you happen to read my bio? He's like, yeah, I read it, and I was like, so herpes positive? Like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's going to be like. So we actually, the next party we went to, I did his favorite. It was actually his birthday. Oh. So I sat on his face. I gave him his present.
What is your sign?
We're both Gemini. So my birthday was yesterday. And his birthday is,
belated.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Let's take a birthday shot.
Yes.
Glitter.
Yes. And his birthday is actually the 21st. So we are both Geminis.
So yeah, bang bang.
Wow.
It's actually a lot of Geminis in my family. My brother's a Gemini. He's a June 10th. My cousin is a 17th. Another one is the 8th. A lot of Geminis in my family. I don't know what was happening when he was fucking, but a lot of Geminis in my family.
My best friend is one. We're still celebrating.
Yeah. It's the month. Come on. That's the month.
Yes.
So we actually engaged at the party. We had sex before we went on our first date. We went on our first date like a week after. Okay. But we just connected and we just clicked, we vibed, and then we're just still together. Like,
didn't it feel good?
I love that.
It felt amazing because it's like because for me also there are things that he likes. Like, he likes to induce pain. I do not do pain. Like, you get 2 slaps per cheek and you got a massage. 2 slaps on the cheek, you got a massage. If he wants a partner who is like, I love to be slapped, I love to be this, go ahead and find her and I will not hold you back from when you're ready to be loving,
right.
You can come back to me. Like, so we are solo poly, where he has his own relationships, I have my own relationships. He discloses if he wants to, but I don't necessarily need to know everything that you do. It doesn't matter to me.
What did we just say that?
I don't need to know. All I need to know that there is the possibility of someone else. Mm-hmm. And that's enough for me to walk down this road with. And if in fact you become more emotional, we're at a point where whatever you do with her may impact our time and our relationship, that's when I'm like, okay, so let's have this conversation. What is it that you want to do? But he does what he wants, I do what I want, and we're transparent, we're honest, we're open, it just fucking works, and I love that it works. I love that it works. Like, it has. I haven't cried a sad tear in 2 years.
Amazing.
And
you want to know why? It's because both of you are open to do what you want to do, but still have respect and still tell it's respect.
Yes.
And it's still some type of affection and
love. I love that
there.
Man. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So how do you handle mentally? Because a lot of people that who look up to people like you or want to get into that lane, like, mentally, how do you prepare yourself to know, like, okay, like, say if you're not with your side friend or whatever, and you're just home watching TV, but you know that he's out right now, probably having sex or something like that. Like, how is it when he comes home? It's like, hey, what's that? Like, how you doing? Or like, what's it really like?
So for our relationship, it is because we have some people call it don't ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't tell.
So it's a lot of times it'll come up after the fact that it's happened. It's never like, I'm going to see this person tonight, we're going to have sex. It's never that happens. Because I don't necessarily plan to have sex. Like, I'll be walking down the street and there's a guy who happens to live next door, not too far from me, and I'm like, oh, he's downstairs. Hey, what are you doing today? We'll go have sex right now. Like, it's not I never plan it. So for me, the only time I plan sex when I go to sex parties. So like, when it's a hotel reserved or something like that. Other than that, sex for me is not necessarily planned. So it's never.
That's what makes it the best.
That's what makes it the best. Like, Tuesday afternoon. And granted, there are some times when it's sex you could look forward to it if you've had a stressful week. But like, let's look for Tuesday. What do you want to do Tuesday? What do you want to do for me?
I'm one of them niggas. I got the lingerie in the bag ready. Like,
let's see how this date got.
Because you never know what's going to happen. That's why the necklace often always comes with me just in case. So sometimes we never have that pre-discussion of sexual. The only thing we really discuss is, essentially when we were not using condoms, because I went back and forth. I'm back to condoms now just because it's just, my vagina is she's a little bitch sometimes with the pH balance and the friction of the this and the that. I'm just like, condoms makes my life easier. Done. And also because I switched through multiple methods of birth control, I'm like, I don't want to slip up because I'm not ready to have no kids no time soon. So I'm back to just condoms. It's safer for me. It's easier for me. The only conversation we do have prior to is that I ask him, again, and I ask him, are you sure she's on birth control? Whatever have you. That's the only thing that I ask him. He uses condoms. Correction. He tells me he uses condoms, and I'm hoping that he does. And I'm not there. At the end of the day, we don't know what anybody does when we're not in there. If you're not following your man 24/7, you don't know what he's doing, right?
Exactly.
So it's all walking on faith and belief that
if it is that you did walk with him 24/7, he gonna find a way.
They'll find a way to dip out. I'm gonna be in the back of the phone. It's coming with me. They go.
Do you guys have any deal breakers like babies or stuff like that?
For me, I go back and forth with whether or not I want to have kids. This world is very scary to me, and I don't know if I want to bring a child into this world. That's why I didn't do part 2. And want to risk it. Like, my heart can't take it. So much shit is going on. So I don't know if I want to have kids or not. If he happens to have gone in a relationship with someone and they decided that they wanted to have a child together, that would be fine, because I know that it was built out of love. It came out of a place where he wanted and she wants it, and that's fine. I would still be in his life if he wanted me to be in his life, but maybe in a lesser capacity. Like, in the day, right now I'm your primary partner because there's nobody else on our level that's matched each other. But I'm not stupid. If you have a woman who has a child by you, she's naturally going to be more of a priority to you because you have a child with her. I'm not dumb. Right. So I would happily step back a little bit and maybe not see each other as much. And then you can be a father to your child. The deal breaker, on the other hand, is if you don't ask the questions, and then it becomes a situation where it is now a problematic for our relationship because you or she was misled or you weren't honest to her. Then I'm like, then we may have to completely cut our losses at that point. But for the most part, because he asked me that question if I had a baby with someone else, I'm like, if I knew it was out of love and I knew that it was something that you both wanted, I wouldn't mind it. But if you didn't ask her the question that she's on birth control, and then you decided to let your one night of not paying attention and you didn't use a condom and she got pregnant because of that, like, if it was if it was one of those scenarios, then I'd be like, okay, it's time to walk away, and that's fine, and he knows that. So it's not a question.
Relationships that's not poly. Yeah. That still stay with their significant other after telling them or sending them down like, hey, I messed up. It was one night. The girl, she really didn't mean anything to me, but she did hit me up the other day saying that she's pregnant and she wants to keep it. Because, women, it's our choice.
Yes, exactly. It is.
A lot of times women, they link guys just to possibly have a child. Like, listen, I don't want nothing from you. I literally just want your sperm or whatever the case may be. And it'd be a one-night stand. Yeah. And they still stay together, get married, and he just has his plus child. Yes, outside the relationship.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. I got 2 questions for you. So if it is that he had his little bust down, are you joining?
I don't tend to find the girls attractive that he finds attractive sometimes. So it depends on if I found her attractive. So that's for me, the same way it goes. My tastes vary, right? It's not a specific. I love a certain curvy woman. I love a nice body. I like a body type that makes my own, essentially. I don't want to ever feel like I'm galloping over a woman if she's completely tiny and quote unquote frail. That's not my cup of tea because I don't want to feel like the bigger girl in the relationship. I can't deny. I have a little
what you like better, titties or ass?
I like ass better. Okay. Only because I like my titties very much. So I like nice little ass, But I just love the softness of a woman's skin. I love women's breasts as well. I love women. The bodies, I love, come on now, look at this skin.
And that's what it is that I always tell people when it is that I go back and forth with whoever it is that I deal with at that time. As far as them dealing with other women, I get it. I never am in a strip club and I'm like, all right, let me get this drink. Let me get the fuck up out of here. I'm looking at this thing. Women smell different. They feel different. It's just
beautiful.
Please.
Nice. So, I understand why y'all be fucking this bitch. I get it.
I don't like strippers. No. Give me a woman stripper all day, every day.
So now, also, when it is that you first found out, whatever, and the people that you initially dealt with during the beginning stages of what you were going through,
me and my diagnosis.
When it was that they were like, no, that's not for me. So you might be in a different space now because you're like, whatever. But how did you transition to it's whatever, and you just kept it going?
Yeah. So The part in my book where I reference is that for a while, and I use the word pre-disclosure versus post-disclosure, meaning I'm telling you before we have sex versus I'm telling you after we have sex. Mm-hmm. When I was in my doctor's office and I asked them, their verbatim words were, well, you don't have to tell. As long as you use condoms and you take your meds, you can't pass the virus. So naturally, if that makes my life easier, because we're all going to choose the path of least resistance, that's what I did for a while. And if I was with a guy and the relationship started to grow a little bit better, then I'd say, hey, by the way, just so you know, I was diagnosed with herpes. You should be fine, da-da-da-da-da. And they will, luckily for me, and I can't stress this enough, that was my experience. That is not everyone else's experience, right? A lot of people will get the, how the fuck you didn't tell me, da-da-da-da-da. But also a part of my confidence is the fact that I've had partners who've understood. I've also have never transmitted my virus. So there are a lot of things that worked out in my favor where I've built this level of confidence. But I know that's not everyone's story. Right. So a lot of it, again, once I transitioned from being the person who would tell after the fact, I started, because I realized also that went hand in hand with me staying in relationships I didn't like anymore because I told you after the fact, right? And like, I didn't give you a choice before, so I guess I got to stay with you now. Right. I realized that wasn't working for me. And then I went into a bunch of groups where people expressed that, my partner didn't tell me and I got it. And so I realized, okay, so this is happening because regardless of what my doctors, it's pretty much telling me a lie. Right. People are getting this virus even though they're doing everything possible. So let me change. Like you
said, it's skin to skin.
Yes, I said, let me change how I'm doing shit and let me start telling people now. So that's exactly what I did. I started telling. And again, it was always, at first it was the most difficult conversation. Oh my God, that's and then that bullshit. But then I realized that I'm assuming that they're negative when the reality is they may not be because they may not have been tested for it. They may not know. They may not know anything about it. Yeah. Even when, if you think about it, how many people have you really asked for STD? I actually see the results. Exactly. Most people never ask.
It's literally like over 1 million people who don't even know that they have a certain STD.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So people don't know. People don't ask. People assume. I use the phrase. I use the phrase in my book with my special eyes. I was able to see, you look clean. You're great. Let's go have sex. Like, it doesn't work like that, right? I won't know what you have until I ask you, until we get tested, until we wait a little bit longer and get tested again, right? So there's no burden. There's no guarantee of anything. Right. So I started being a prediscloser more because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting myself in a relationship by default. Right. I'm telling you this. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. If you do want to do it, that's fine. But know that I told you. So if this is not working for you, walk the fuck away, and I can walk away knowing that I gave you the choice in the very beginning. Right. So that really caused me to change how I dealt with it. And so now when I talk about my virus, I make it a conversation going back and forth. Like, so what do you do? What are your practices? How often do you use condoms? When was the last time you got tested? Because a lot of guys can't answer that shit.
Because they don't.
They don't.
If she don't got it, I don't got it.
And that is the bullshit.
That's the bullshit. She'll let me know if I got something.
And that's the bullshit.
No, that's I'm like,
you have to know. You have to know. And it's just, so now I ask the questions now. Because I remember times that I was asked, well, let's use a condom. They be like, why you think I got something? Like, nigga, what? As if pregnancy is the worst thing that could happen. Like, oh, I don't want you to get pregnant. My mother I could get something else. Something else could fucking happen. What do you mean?
Right. My mother always said, but outside of the baby, they might give you something that you just can't get rid of.
Hello.
So,
glitter.
Glitter.
What's so crazy is that I used to, for the most part, it is when it is that you're sitting down with somebody, it is that we gonna chalk it up. But once it is that you're sitting down with somebody and they're like, listen, this is what it is. It's going. Even with people like it is, you said, you can show me your stats on your My Chart. That doesn't mean what's actually happening with you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's like all of this. Yeah, show me yours. Show me. Okay, we're both clean. But it takes a while for it to actually show up. I remember I used to go to high school with someone, and she used to take pills every day, a whole bunch of pills, and she never knew. And then ultimately, she found out that her mother told her that she has HIV contracted through her. She has a whole baby father with 2 kids. He right now to this date still doesn't know because he doesn't go to the doctor. So it's more about, are you being transparent what it is that you got going on? And you're so tapped in with a person, like, let them know. It's all about being transparent. Just
everybody
across
deserves
the board.
Right. And that's what leads me to tonight's nightcap. Exactly. So the nightcap is basically the part where we give our last, innuendos about.
Wait, before you go there. I want to stress wanting to know too. I want to tell you and you want to tell, but you also have to want to know. Right. A lot of people if you think about people who go to like bars and hook up at a bar, did you ask the question? And so again, and it also comes as part of the conversation what I reference once again in the book is that we can have the conversation and then I'll tell you, hey, by the way, I have this virus, you know, da-da-da-da. And you're like, you know what? Thank you for telling me. I'd rather not move forward. Okay, that's fine. Right. When in my process of disclosing, I always give information. I always tell people how shit can slip through the cracks, how you're not tested for this, everything like that. So I give you all this information as the guy. And then tomorrow night you go out and fuck somebody who asks no questions of. So it's just like so that is like, you have to also want to protect yourself. You also have to want to know. You have to ask the questions because some people, if I don't know, if I know, right? And that is why I say it. Mm-hmm. There are people who don't know and they won't ever know because no one is ever asking these questions.
Ignorance is bliss.
So it goes, so it's like, that's how I make it a both way conversation. Mm-hmm. What are your practices? Because again, there are times when I've assumed that I'm the worst option on the table, and not even, I don't want to use worse or less, but there was a guy who I was speaking to, I met at Duce Palooza, and, you know, I mentioned to him that I was herpes positive. He's like, well, thank you for telling me I'm HIV positive. I'm like, oh, well, thank you for telling me. And again, it was over the phone. We met at this, we never met again, but it's just like, and again, I'm assuming that he would have told me, but there's no guarantee that he would have, because once again, her HIV is fluid transmissible. Mm-hmm. So there are some people who believe I just put a condom on, I serve no risk. Or if I'm on the medication that where I'm U equals undetectable, unpassable, then I don't have to say anything as well. So it's essential for you to also ask these questions. Right. Ask your partner even if it's a one night stand, like, do you happen to have, even if you do whatever you can, but at the end of the day,
or if you see your partner taking pills, sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to ask or whatever. What are you saying?
It's such an uncomfortable topic.
You
so
it needs to happen.
You didn't want to ask me
like,
what I was
taking. We should be able to chop this
we should
up.
Be able to ask these questions.
I can give you my body, we should be able to have the conversation, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Facts.
Right.
Okay, now I'm done.
No, it's okay.
I had a little STD scare one time, and I had to call a friend, and it was funny because it was around the time when I was out of a 5-year relationship, right? Mm-hmm. I go to the doctor, I'm like, oh, I think it was a possibility. So she was like, when we get the results or whatever, you got to be open to whoever you was with. And then, at that time, it was a close friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And when I told him, I was like, yo, it's a possibility. I'm just waiting for the results or whatever. Like, because when your body just don't feel, you go, and he's like, go ahead, let's test it for a possible STD. So I'm like, oh my God, who am I sex with? I'm like, oh my God, my friend. And I'm like, my friend.
I thought I knew them.
Yeah, so when I told him, I was like, yo, it's a possibility. Like,
I don't know.
Like, I'm thinking he about to, where you at? Come outside. Like, I'm like, ooh. So he was like, well, like, are you okay? Like, I said, yeah, I feel good, but I'll feel better once I know for sure. Right. But I just want to at least let you know or whatever. So, basically, I was good. Mm-hmm. But it's just it's nothing wrong with those conversations. Giving a call like, hey, I just found out, and let me just call. And people will be like, all right, I'm going to just cut everybody off.
And that's not the way to go.
And I'm going to ghost everyone. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they be like, well, where did you go? What happened?
It just
some people are like there are people who before the world shut down, I was a part of a support group for people, and there was a guy who was positive, and he hadn't engaged with anybody in 5 years. Because he just didn't know how to move forward in his life. And I'm like, there are people, so for people
he didn't have the confidence.
He didn't have the confidence, but he also didn't seek the community. He also didn't know. And again, we have to acknowledge that he was a black man in the black communities. Once you get something, you're like the leper of the community. Nobody wants to know. Everybody talks about you.
Everybody have it too.
Yeah.
Everybody fucking got it.
Just like in the church.
So it's that part. Glitter. That part. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, there are communities out there for people who are dealing with it and don't know how to don't know how to readjust to society. There are herpes support groups on Reddit. They're also on Facebook. They can sometimes have some problematic people in them, but for the most part, it is a community for you to seek if you have worries or whatever have you. And you can also read my book.
Right. There you go. That's the plug.
You are a jewel.
Right.
Thank you.
I feel like your confidence, we have many, people that watch us all ages and,
and a lot of men.
Women.
A lot of men need to watch this.
And women. Yeah. I think it's very, and we have a lot of couples who watch it together, and a lot of times I feel like this conversation, it makes it the normal. Like, let's normalize a lot of shit, especially in the black community.
Because it's happening. If you're having sex,
whether
at some point you may get something.
It or not, this shit is real. You
in
know,
real time it's happening.
Honestly, I feel it in my spirit that you motivated a lot of people to want to have that conversation with their partners or potential partners. Because I have, I know people who may have herpes and stuff, and like a lot of times, they can open it, and a lot of times the people can be receptive, but God forbid if they catch it, now it's a whole different. I told
that
you
part. Right. Yeah, that part.
The fucking, like, what are you mad at? I told you.
Yeah. I gave you the choice.
You was in denial.
Yeah, because a lot of people walk as if they go. Because again, even though I'm 10 plus years in, haven't transmitted it, and I state that, right?
Amazing.
But some people will assume that, I'm never gonna get it too, and I always have to say, this is my story, but there is always a chance that you can get it, especially if you're walking into parties. And so for the parties that I go to, they don't ask because they understand that I can get tested today and it cannot show up, but that doesn't mean I don't have it, right? People can doctor STI results with the quickness. So
just like the vax cards.
Yeah, tell me about it, right? So
I got
all
them
of these
for
things,
the low.
I was about to say, people selling them shit. They like,
they are, and it's
but I ain't take it.
It's crazy. So it's just like, it's always a grain of salt. If you're gonna have, you can't have sex with the first person and catch something. There's no number
Straight
remedy.
AIDS, full-blown AIDS. Like, you can go past all of
you
the
get HIV, you don't get AIDS.
Right.
You get HIV, it becomes AIDS.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can go straight to it. Some people talk about herpes, but I'm like, you forget about all these other things that, like, can go. You can lose. I remember when BET used to bring up,
BET used to be great at one point. Yes,
at one point, not anymore. But they used to try to educate us, and your first encounter can be a life-changing event.
Yeah, because we're not empowered to ask these questions. And I said that's why it became a thing for me to like have these conversations and continue to talk about it, because people don't think about it that way, And again, being a black woman who is sex positive, being a black woman who is still having lots of and great sex, transparently, it mattered, because a lot of times people assume that it's you hear a lot of words come from those who don't look like us. And it's like, well, I'm a black woman. How do I? And it's always important to have a voice that looks like you to help you navigate your own journey. And again, a lot of the stories that I was hearing before I started to coming out about it, where people were like, I've been celibate for the last 5 years. I'm just working on me, which is fine. Or I met my husband and I'm great. Okay, that's fine too. But what if that's not your truth? What if you are not a single person? What if you are not monogamous? What if you are polyamorous? What if you are still dating? How do you go about these things? And that's why I wrote the book, because like I was dating and I was dealing with this kind of stuff. And I always wanted to make sure I liked the person before I told, because there's a part of my book where, again, if you've dated, niggas can be toxic. If you're not reciprocating what they want, if you're not dropping your plans at the drop of a hat for them, it becomes you bitch, all this other stuff.
Right.
So I put in this part. I said, I'd rather be called a bitch than a dirty bitch, because I told you about my status before we even had to have sex, right? And so I can go on a date with you and decide, I don't like you, I ain't gonna fuck with you no more. And that's it. Like, I don't have to tell you at that point, because I don't do anything sexually with you. But some people will tell them in the beginning just to get out the way, and that's fine. But then if you realize that after the date you don't like them, you don't like the person, and then it becomes a problem, you have to own the fact that you gave them a piece of your life, information about you that they have now weaponized. Exactly. So for me, I like to make sure, do I like you? If I didn't have herpes, would I want to be with you? And if the answer is yes, then okay, we can have this talk. But if the answer is nah, you toxic, you ain't got no job, you got all these issues, like, I'm not even wasting my time. So I'm not even worrying about it then.
Right. So we're gonna go ahead.
Nightcap.
Right, that is the nightcap.
I'm sorry, I like divvy past it.
No, you got the nightcap for all of us. Right. All right. So let these people know where it is that they can find you on social media.
Okay, so my social media, I can keep it real simple. It's Carolyn Toney, CarolynToney. That is Instagram, on Facebook, and my website is www.carolyntoney.com, and my Twitter is Carolyn Toney TOT. That's it. Everything is simple.
So well spoken. Such a lady, y'all. I love it.
We appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So before we get out of here and let us sip style, we got to put our glasses up, cups up. Glitter, glitter, glitter. And on that note, we thank y'all for watching. go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Let Us Sip Pod. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe in the motherfucking YouTube.
Yes.
Yes, that's the sign.
Tea, y'all.
And we will see y'all next week on another episode of
Let Us Sip.
Yummy.
Thank you for listening to Let Us Sip. Please remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. And if you like what you heard, leave us a comment. If you feel like we can do better, leave us a comment too. But be respectful. We read everything and only want to grow. So thanks again for your love and support, and we will see you next week.